Usually discussions about Valve are exciting and fun, because they do most things right. But in recent days, there have been talks and rumors about Valve succumbing to woke ideologies and DUI, involving Sweet Baby Inc. and a lot of different stuff, which does seem kinda bad. So let's see how this goes.
We have got a bunch of stories about Valve. That is awesome for a number of reasons. Valve stories are fun, and it means we get to use Knife Gabe in the video thumbnail, one of our great joys. A few numbers to guide us
Okay, I understand that.
through. Number one, 7 days. That is how long that you'll be able to rent Counter-Strike 2 skins under a new policy that is designed to wipe out a grey market, while of course also making Valve a lot more money from loot boxes. I suppose I do kind of imagine, what if you logged into Diablo 4 one day to find out that Blizzard would rent you a cosmetic in return for some IRL money? Yeah, that's an interesting one. The next number.
Have people not already attempted this renting stuff? Has it actually not already been proven to kind of work okay-ish? Because it's not like Valve is forcing anyone to rent the things. And as much as I understand it, it's not Valve renting things. It's people who have the skin can rent it.
Number is 0. That is how many games you can transfer in your Steam library to a loved one in your will. Bit of an odd one, but yes, that appeared as a story. The third number, 14%.
That is hilarious.
And that is the average price increase that some gamers are seeing because of currency problems that are all down to Steam's market structure basically failing customers. And it is something that is, especially in some regions like say Poland, it is really a problem for audiences. The next number, and the
I mean, Poland's a problem for Poland most times, so I mean, what are we supposed to do?
final for today's video is 100 plus, because that is how many leaks there now have been for Valve's new in-production title, Deadlock, even as the company are acknowledging none of those leaks.
I played Spy and Team Fortress 2, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot.
Publicly, which is absolutely fascinating. And finally, let's pay the bills from a brand that we've selected and have sponsored today's video. Now, there's another story that caught my mind lately, and it's this. Microsoft's
No.
plan, which is all of the features. It's what we've got a unified mission with them, so if you like
I did not even see, by the way, what that was, but it's probably blatantly trash.
our kind of stuff, I think you'll appreciate their service as well. Okay, loot boxes, this is a wild one, and certainly while Valve have got, I think, amongst audiences, a fantastic reputation, loads of consumer-friendly things like the refund policy, obviously their role in loot boxes is one that definitely changed a lot of things in the industry. So, during 2023, CSGO Case Tracker estimates that they have made nearly $1 billion from CSGO.
That's a lot of cases unboxed. 40 million. I guess it's super easy considering, well, you know, a key costs what? Typically like $2 or something when you get chests quite often in the game. Well, not quite often, but you get the point. Man, this is insane in a membrane.
Alone from loot box sales. And as of May 23rd, Valve have found a new and exciting way to make loot boxes worse. So, renting skins. Imagine spending your...
How does that make loot boxes worse, Bellular? Please, deviate.
real money to get a skin in a game, but only for a limited amount of time. So let me read the marketing copy. Calling all Kilowatt Collection fans. Now, when you open a Kilowatt case with a key, you'll be given the option to rent the whole collection for a week, excluding the rare special item instead of keeping a single item. You can play with the weapons as much as you like during that week, but they cannot be modified by stickers or name tags. And that's fascinating.
Oh man, how am I gonna put the N-word on my guns now? That's disappointing, Valve. That's true. Wait, did they fix that? I don't know. I don't play CS, but that was hilarious.
For the cost of $3.50, you can either get one random skin from a crate permanently, or you can temporarily use every skin in the box other than, of course, the big rare one. So basically, it's either get really lucky with your gacha pulls, or you basically get to rent your op skin, which is certainly odd. And to lay it all out clearly, this is paying for a set of digital skins that you can only keep for 1 week. And that means that this may as well be a subscription model where every single
Okay, that's kind of blowing it out of proportion. When you buy a game nowadays, you're kind of only just buying a license agreement to play it sometimes, unless they stop you from playing it. This is kind of blowing this absolutely out of proportion, Bellular, but okay.
single case is a subscription, right? It's either, do you want to buy the game and you'll own it forever on Game Pass, or would you like to keep a subscription going and temporarily be able to, take any of this great library? It's a little bit like that, and it's kind
I still think if you buying a game doesn't mean that you bought a game, pirating a game does not mean that you stole anything, because they didn't own it in the first place. I think it's all fair in game.
of funky. Obviously, value is in the eye of the beholder, but I think to many, this is a pretty egregious waste of money. Putting money into a subscription service that basically is you renting a game or getting access to a license, via Game Pass or something.
This is 1.6 Office, baby. Let's go. Shoot the hostages.
That's something we can understand. Like, yes, that money is being sort of thrown into the big money burner, right? And the company is just getting pure profit off that. And you don't own something at the end of the day, but what you do get is access to an experience. And I think people value that experience enough that the idea of paying for a subscription to get temporary or time limited access to that kind of thing makes sense. For premium skins, though, that I think is different. That does feel like a bit of a line has been crossed. The reason why, though, is actually really clear. Again, you got to remember, Valve, they've always had
not clear for me at all, but maybe I am missing something.
That strong libertarian bent, and this is basically them responding to a market demand. There are, in fact, and I didn't know this before because I'm not deeply embedded in that community, but there are multiple websites that allow users to sign up and rent skins from other players. So yes, you heard that right. The renting of skins already happens, but it happens through the gray market.
Okay, so you're telling me effectively now, Valve is bad because they're gonna allow people to rent skins in their own platform, and you no longer need to go to a dodgy third-party website where no one knows what's gonna happen. And people are already not making a big fuss about this, but now that Valve is doing it, the idea here is that people should get mad. I feel this is extremely, completely off point.
Now, typically,
is this just from the perspective renting bad because landlord's bad?
Those gray market sites.
Listen, if you don't know how the world works, this is how it works. You and I live from paycheck to paycheck. The landlords live from month to month. The people above landlords live from whatever magical income they get time to time. And then the banks live bailout to bailout. Okay? It's not a beautiful system, but it's a system.
Are framing it as them fulfilling a need, fulfilling a clear market demand. People want a specific skin from a tournament, or maybe people want to test a skin.
Okay, so now Valve bad because they give people what they want? Huh.
And out before they shell out the cash to buy it, right? So they use one of these third-party sites that effectively lets them rent the skin. And this is basically Valve saying, okay, well, we are just going to do that ourselves and we will make the money. And in many ways, it's not via gray market. There are probably then more consumer protections. And because it's official, you sort of know what you're doing. Maybe less risk for shady behavior, but it is obviously them just looking at the secondary market and saying, okay, well, I actually think we can make a whole bunch more money off this. In the same way that Blizzard Entertainment or CCP, the developers of EVE Online, whenever they did the likes of WoW Token and Plex, or perhaps Cred in the...
Wait, we're comparing renting skins to the WoW token now? Man, Bellier, you completely lost the plot here, huh? You're gonna have to do another apology video. Oh, I'm sorry, I said things that sounded stupid because they were stupid. Like, at least man the fuck up, Eat what you say. I'm never apologetic about anything.
The now dead game Wildstar.
For better or for worse, but I at least believe the things that I say.
Yes, it is making sure that gold buying isn't happening as much on the grey market that's against terms of service. We all know that they're doing it to earn money. But ultimately here, what is this? This is Valve doing it themselves. Ultimately, the player will own nothing. What do you think about that? Is that too far? Are you...
Why? How is the player not owning anything? It's not like you open a box and suddenly everything is put there automatically and you don't get to keep anything and you have to rent your own stuff now from yourself. That's not what's happening.
Okay with this being done? Do you think basically, well, it's up to the consumer demand? If they want this, Valve is a company, they're more with it, they're well within their rights to provide a service that there is, people have proven market demand for. Or do you think that, like how Valve unleashed loot boxes and then quite a lot of other companies then went and ran pretty far with those loot boxes, do you think this is another example of a bad precedent? Could you see this dovetailing into maybe Blizzard making it so that whenever you purchase the premium battle pass that you get to rent some skins or something like that? Like, do you think that could happen? Let me know. Our next story, well, what happens
was that bad
if you run out of Steam?
Well, like, for that, people are going to complain about the fact that the Saudi Arabia prince is buying all of the things and renting them. Oh my god.
In the big way. So, the real topic of whether you own something or not, and ultimately you do not own your Steam library, right? You just license your Steam library from Valve. And obviously, if you get a ban, if your Steam account is banned, you lose access to your games, you'll be profoundly aware that...
Yeah, but it's really, really hard to get a Steam ban unless you're actively trying, though.
You just licensed that stuff from Valve, and now you don't have that anymore. Now, this has been highlighted by a Reset Era user called Delete12345, so obviously on a burner account, who decided to check in with Steam support on what would happen to their Steam account if they were to pass it on in their written will. So, that's basically the point. If I croak, can I give, can from father to son a Steam account pass? Or the games in the account? And they said, unfortunately, Steam accounts and games are non-transferable. Steam support can't provide someone else with access to the account or merge its contents with another account. I regret to inform you, your Steam account cannot be transferred via a will. And all this does kind of make sense. Steam does not hide this in their terms and conditions. Everything that you buy or earn is licensed to you and only you. But it does...
I wonder if this is happening here. That Steam can't even make this decision a single vote issue, because that's not how you use single vote issue. Whatever. I think Steam can't do this on their own, even because, well, you buy the game on Steam. For example, you buy Ubisoft's Skull and Bones, which you can't buy off, but that's such a shame, I know. Who wouldn't want to play Skull and Bones like me? I mean, damn. Female pirates and shit, am I right, boys? Anyway, if you buy that on Steam and Ubisoft bans you, I mean, Steam can't really do anything about it if Ubisoft banned you. So it's actually technically, yes, you buy the game on Steam, but the game is recognized by each and every company that you have bought it. And Steam can't say, hey, remember the game Carl bought yesterday? Now Joseph has bought it.
Does kind of raise the question that
Joseph owns it. Yeah, that's how it's supposed to sound. Yeah, I don't think that's something that Steam can even do.
And does there need to be a reassessment around digital rights for products going forward, especially as this will just become more and more of an issue? I mean, in theory, there is no difference between a library of game discs or a Steam library for...
I mean, the people who have a lot of hours in spicy games probably should not give their libraries away to their children and whatnot. That would be kind of awkward.
Many people, other than this policy, won't let them be transferred. So should we have a right that would supersede that policy, meaning that that is a non-legally enforceable policy? Well, ultimately, because I think more consumer protections and more consumer rights are good, yes, it should be that. Okay, next then. Polish currency problems. Right. So this has been shared with me in email. I've since seen this be talked about in quite a few places, and this is something that will be impacting people viewing this very video. So Steam sets a general currency rate for all regions, and they try to balance that with the cost of living in each country and the impact of people with a VPN who can just region hop to that country for a cheap key. Now that's quite tricky because it does mean somebody in a more well-off country being able to VPN into your country and buy games priced for you when you are in a country with a differently scaled economy. Well, because those people do that, prices in your region are now higher because they need to compensate for that, meaning that you in the less developed economy are now going to be suffering because of basically, people in larger economies, obviously regardless of their own personal.
Okay, listen. If you can't buy a $20 Steam game because you're struggling, buying games should not even be on your priority list. It should be like the 50th thing that you probably should do in your life because your situation is hopelessly tragic at this point, okay? If you can't buy a $20 game like every 2 months or something, man, you are shit with your money, and I don't think Steam has to even think about you because you already failed the game of life.
Financial circumstances being able to VPN over. So it's an interesting problem. Video games and digital products are global. The currencies that they are purchased with are not global. How do we deal with this? And I suppose this is probably where a lot of the crypto people will come in and say, hello, we're the solution to this problem. But anyway, let's not get into that rabbit hole. So in theory, what they need to do is they need to balance the needs of the developer, the audiences, and then the platform holder so that everybody is treated fairly. But the problem is just because something was fair at one point doesn't mean it stayed that way. So here is basically a look at currency, and you can see that it's been a tumultuous enough time for the Polish zloty, and using GBP, where I'm from, I understand what it's like. We had a few things that changed the value of our currency. Definitely made a holiday to the States more expensive. Anyway, since the market standard is, of course, the American
zloty?
dollar, if something is weak against...
I didn't even know there's this thing at the back. Wow.
The dollar in 2022 and has then become stronger in price, well, in theory, there should be a change in the prices on Steam. But instead, while we have covered mass market changes of the LATAM USD and MENA or MENA USD that are basically designed to curb widespread issues, there are individual problems that are slipping through the net here, like with the Polish zlotys. Now, from Valve's perspective, if they move too quickly to correct things, then that would set an expectation that they will be very reactive for all currencies, all regions, and this is a major thing they'll be doing. But of course, what this means is that in Poland, well, above you, you can see that this is a specific edge case that has resulted in a massive price discrepancy that is now being highlighted by a 20,000 user-strong petition from gamers in the country. Here's what they explain. Factorio was one of the main examples that highlights the problem. In Poland, the game costs 160 zloty, but in Germany, it costs 32 euros, which is 137 zloty at the current exchange rate. Poles will have to pay 347 zloty for Forza Motorsports, while the exact game costs 69.99 euro, which is approximately 299.9 zloty. So
this doesn't explain anything to anyone, now, does it? Okay, this is just them comparing okay. So these prices got put. Money typically does not have such volatile swings. There's a reason no one fucking likes Forex, okay? Well, Soros likes Forex, but it worked out for him pretty well magically. It happens. And also one other guy likes Forex because he predicted the British British housing market collapse pretty well. And then he did it again. That's different story, okay? You can Google him, pretty funny. He actually is on Twitter and he writes the most fucking cryptic shit you will ever see. But anyway, let me explain to you in actually terms that make, I hope, a slight bit of sense. So when this price of 32 euros was established, the price of the German, whatever their stupid magical currency is nowadays called, euros, I think. Oh damn, that's a cell phone. Okay, whatever. it was this essentially. And then at that time, they had to pay. I don't know which one of these. I'm assuming the smaller one. But now, because the value of the Polish currency has gone down, they need to pay more of their currency to meet the 32. I mean, that's all that this is. And well, because they still need to meet the 32 euro requirement in zlotys. Well, they need to pay now more because their currency is worth less effectively. And this is what Steam is not accounting for. I mean, yes, that's true, but this happens with everything. And well, look at how often prices change in Uganda.
So basically what this has done is it's meant that the recommended pricing creates a difference of nearly 14% to the disadvantage of the Polish zloty. So effectively, as an overall group, they're paying more than they should. So imagine an anti-coupon code essentially being placed on your entire Steam store because of the particulars of how the pricing is managed. Now the problem here is that
well, to be fair, they might as well have done a petition in Poland saying, hey, wait a minute. When you get those free Euro gifts, how about you just don't instantaneously go to Germany and buy trucks with them and do something else? Poland doesn't even need trucks at this point. They just buy trucks because it's a thing that they have historically done for all eternity at this point. They don't need the trucks. They still buy the trucks. It makes no sense. Maybe Poland should just get better.
Individual level, publishers and developers don't have knowledge or experience always to know if they are being fair here in pricing. So what they do is they rely on Steam because Steam are the people who set the
Wait, also, when did the Polish We Love the crazy leftist party actually, when was it at this time when the Polish zlot collapsed? Was it this point? When their crazy leftist party won? Also, maybe you should, good fucking luck, Poland, aka, I'm done.
Higher Steam store because of the particulars of how the pricing is managed. Now, the problem here is that on an individual level, publishers and developers don't have knowledge or experience always to know if they are being fair here in pricing. So what they do is they rely on Steam because Steam are the people who set the recommended numbers. Okay? But the problem is, if the recommended numbers no longer actually reflect what's going on with the currencies, then you have a problem. And really, this is a more oblique version of the monopoly arguments, where Steam are setting up a market practice and then failing to actually acknowledge that that practice is not working in every region. So ultimately here, look, I hope that this pressure from Polish gamers makes Valve realize that actually, in order to be fair to their customers, I mean, look, Gabe says piracy is a service problem. Well, this is a great example. The particulars of how Valve are running their service are leading to games, being overpriced for people in Poland. That is a problem with their service, and that will lead to piracy. So therefore stands to reason that fixing this problem will discourage piracy, give consumers, a more fair shake of the stick, and ultimately be good. I mean, it's just economically inefficient when you have stupid shit like this going on. Next then, Valve not acknowledging their own game. This is
the hell does economically inefficient mean in this case? That doesn't mean anything.
Weird. So, Deadlock.
What a video.
Yes. Battlestar Galactica Deadlock. A 7 out of 10 that I love to death is in fact not the new Valve game. It is a project called Deadlock. Now over 90 Deadlock videos have leaked onto the internet, and it's interesting because we then get to see how does a company respond, or in this case, not respond. It's very well known that Valve just do not have to operate like any other company. They're privately owned, and they very much are what you would call an opinionated company. They get to do what they think. So, this has been interesting. They can be silent for a year and then suddenly drop Counter-Strike 2 on an unsuspecting audience. They still do have to test games before they give them to the public, especially multiplayer games. And that's why, last week, we saw over 100 plus distinct videos. Not just the same one being, mirrored. No, 100 plus distinct videos for a game called Deadlock, their latest in-development project. So, let's go. This was first captured by the account Gabe Follower. Let's read. Deadlock.
Gabe Follower.
Next Valve game. Previously known as Neon Prime Citadel. Competitive, third-person, hero-based shooter. 6v6 battling on a huge map with 4 lanes, usable abilities and items, tower defense mechanics, fantasy setting mixed with steampunk, magicians, weird creatures and robots, fast travel using floating rails similar to Bioshock Infinite. Basically, fast-paced, interesting ADHD gameplay, combination of Dota 2, Team Fortress 2, Overwatch, Valorant, Smite, Orcs Must Die, hero design pretty much inspired by
Orcs Must Die means there's traps.
the Dota universe. Main map references modern steampunk European cities, a little bit like Half-Life. Initially, game had sci-fi elements inspired by Half-Life and Portal, but after bad feedback, dev team decided to focus on fantasy. I mean, you could imagine you're doing a big multiplayer game like this, and you then have the vibes of City 17, and to people they just say, hey, this is kind of plain and grey and not fun, which of course would make sense. A game like this does not have the same goals that, say, the art direction of Half-Life 1 and 2 would have had. So, looking at that, honestly, I think that could be kind of cool. And what's followed that is a tide of character art, models, map layouts, gameplay footage, and way more things about this game. I mean, people even seemingly found a Steam page with player numbers all about these tests. But of course, Valve are saying nothing publicly, which makes sense. They don't have to say anything. And when Valve do new games, they actually do try to be experimental. I mean, they worked with one of the most respected card game designers of all time to come up with Artifact.
Bro, they literally got Garfield to do it. That's his name. Whatever type of Garfield. The idiot who made Magic the Gathering. The least competitive, most RNG heavy card game of all fucking time. Okay? Valve completely dropped the ball by allowing Richard Garfield to even look at the game. Holy, did they mess up.
Fact obviously flopped, but it really was trying to be a damn good card game. You then have Dota Underlords, a quick sort of push to get into the auto battler genre, but it never really got outside of its niche. Now though, another competitive shooter, and one that's honestly amazing in its positioning, because it's appealing to LoL, it's appealing to Dota, it's appealing to Valorant, it's appealing to Overwatch. It's likely going to have, of course, its twang of Valve. I mean, they are playing with a lot of things that we know are gamer crack. Taking a look at the leaks, which, look, if...
By the way, all he just named is really bad to name and actually does not inspire confidence. But you're making a game like this, you can't mismatch 15 types of genres, because if you mismatch so many different things in there, chances are it's going to be too bland for anyone, because hey, if I'm a League of Legends player, I want to play League of Legends, right? So, if it's like 125th like League of Legends, then why would I play it? I wouldn't, exactly.
If we reproduce them here, there's just every chance that we get slammed. So, we'll talk about them though. Now, the art is remixing TF2 assets and stuff. It's not fully fleshed out. This is very much stuff that is in production, but I think it does show a feel. Obviously, Valve wants some feedback there. It's far too early, I mean, for them to publish this game in any sort of like early access way. But the thing is, if they acknowledge this publicly, then there's an implicit commitment to the direction that they're testing right now. And that does mean the play here is very simple. Acknowledge nothing, keep on privately testing, truck on, and if Deadlock is going to be a thing that comes out...
Okay, this was the thing about Deadlock, because Deadlock seemed to have a bunch of folk elements, and I heard that Deadlock even has potentially a transgender character, which would be obviously horrible, because, well, what's their ultimate gonna be? Delete? I don't know. But in any case, I have heard about this and saw a little bit about it, because it's like a character description that people are finding currently. But that character description to me potentially sounds like something that could be a character description of someone given by a third party. So there is a chance that that is actually happening. But, nothing concrete. We don't really know. And it's a little bit far-fetched to even say that, so I am not 100% sure. Hopefully Valve is not going woke, at least with this, but anyway... that was Bellular news. Valve bad for giving people what they want. 10 out of 10. What a video.